Yes, I get to talk about villains again! Ah, ha, 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 ha. Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 most underrated movie villains of all time. Yes, I love villains in films. Like, they are so just devious and charismatic sometimes, and just so charming, and just so mysterious, so unique, and they just add this intrigue and entertainment value to a lot of great films and stuff, and it's just super awesome and everything. And yes, I've talked about movie villains before a long while ago. Back in 2015, I did my top 10 favorite movie villains and stuff, and yeah, those are like all the great villains and stuff, like Khan, Darth Vader, Joker, and all those great villains. But I'm going to talk about underrated villains. Yes, villains that people don't talk about. Some people don't even mention and stuff, and people just mostly tend to forget about and stuff. And these are the villains that are not very known and stuff. And these villains I find very compelling, very interesting, and they deserve more love and stuff. They deserve more appreciation. But again, not a lot of people talk about them, but I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to vouch for them. This is my top 10 most underrated movie villains, in my opinion. Alright, let's get to it. And for our top 10 list, you gotta have your honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are Harry Rod Jr. from Wait Until Dark, Owen Davian from Mission Impossible 3, William Stryker from X2, X-Men United, Mr. Joshua from The First Lethal Weapon, the actual truck from Duel, because that thing is terrifying, Milo from The Last Boy Scout, and Clarence from RoboCop. All great villains, super underrated, just give me the top 10 list, but my top 10 was my number 10. My number 10 is the operative from Serenity. Yes, Serenity, you can't take the sky from me. Yes, it's a movie, basically, takes place just after my favorite show of all time, Firefly. It is a movie adaptation of the show, and this movie is amazing. I love this movie. Not as good as Firefly, but still super good, super well written by Joss Whedon. And I love it. I love the movie. It's sad, it's emotional, it's badass, it's so good. It's got great characters. All the characters from the show are back in the movie, and they're all awesome. But they added a new character, a villain, in fact, and it's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, who is awesome and so badass. He's the operative. You don't know his name, but he works for he works for the Alliance, which is the government and stuff. And basically, his job is to basically find the Tams. He's there to find River and Simon, and basically arrest Simon and get River back to the lab and stuff, so they can experiment on her and stuff, because she's psychic and stuff. And basically, he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to get the Tams back. He's willing to kill and massacre anyone who steps in his way and stuff. And, the way he, kills people is just so freaking awesome. And, he, punctures their nerve in their backs when they lose all feeling in their body, and they fall over, and he puts a sword down, and they all fall on the sword and stuff. It's, a very medieval way of killing someone. He's like, would you rather be killed in your sleep like a dog? It's just so interesting stuff. He's just, the way he talks, and he's just so slick the way he talks and stuff. Even the way when he talks to Malcolm Reynolds and stuff, every time he tries to outsmart Mel outsmarts him, then he outsmarts him and stuff. He's just trying to outwit all the Serenity crew and stuff, and I just love it. He thinks what he's doing is creating a world of a better place. He's trying to rid the world of all this bad and evil and stuff, so he thinks if he massacres and kills all these people, it's the right thing to do and stuff. And that's what makes a very intense villain stuff. A villain who thinks he's doing the right when he's really doing the wrong and stuff. And spoilers, at the end of the movie, he does realize what he's doing is completely wrong when he finds out what the Alliance did and how they created the Reavers and stuff. That's why he's only number 10. He would be my top, 3. But the reason he's only at number 10 is because he doesn't really stay a villain. At the end of the movie, he kind of quits Alliance, and he's not really the villain anymore. So that's kind of why he's only at number 10, because he kind of stirs away from being a villain at the end of the film. But throughout most of the movie, he is a villain. When he's a villain, he is a terrific villain. And a villain not enough people talk about. I love him as a villain, and yeah, one of my favorites. Coming in number 9 is Mad Dog from The Raid Redemption. Yes, The Raid Redemption. I love The Raid Redemption. I love Raid and The Raid 2. They're both such great films. E.K. Lewis is so great. Him as Rabba, so fucking good. What Gareth Evans did with these films is amazing. These are some of the best martial art films you will ever watch. One of my favorite foreign language films of all time. I love these Raid films. And the Raid Redemption has this character named Mad Dog, and he is a really intense villain. I love this villain in this film. He's also the same actor, I forget the actor's name, but he's also in the Raid 2. And he's not really a villain in the Raid 2, but he is in the first Raid as a villain. Because the story of the Raid is about all these police officers. They're raiding this building. It's like full of drugs and all these like gangsters and stuff. And basically they're trying to make their way to the very, very top floor to get the guy that they're supposed to arrest and everything. And basically the whole movie is the raid of this building and stuff. And one of the guys, the villain and stuff, his head dude is a guy named Mad Dog. And basically, you gotta get past him to get to the guy on top, and Mad Dog is absolutely insane. Like, he's fucking psycho. He'll kill you, and he knows badass martial arts. Like, this is why he's scary. He's terrifying, he looks terrifying, he looks like a sociopath, but he's also really badass. He, like, knows all these amazing, crazy martial arts moves and stuff, and it takes the two main guys to beat him in a fight, and it's crazy. The fight sequence between the three of them is awesome. It's one of the best hand-to-hand combat scenes in movies. It's so badass, and that's why I love Mad Dog. Mad Dog is terrifying, but he's also badass. Like, he knows crazy martial arts and shit like that, and just fucking love him. He's crazy, but he's badass. Number 8 is Vincent from the Cowboy Bebop movie. Yes, Cowboy Bebop. Love Cowboy Bebop. Everyone knows it's my favorite anime of all time, and the movie. Yes, I just talked about Serenity, and now I'm talking about Cowboy Bebop. Yes, Cowboy Bebop, the movie, is a really good movie. It's not, like, perfect, but it is a really solid flick. It takes place, like, in episode, like, 22 of the show and stuff, and it's really good. The Bebop crew has to, like, fight this villain stuff named Vincent, who's basically trying to cause destruction and trying to, like, blow the friggin' planet up and stuff, because Vincent thinks that he lives in purgatory. He thinks the whole world is purgatory, that he died, and the whole world is purgatory, and he thinks if he causes destruction and blows up purgatory, he can ascend into another world and stuff. Like, he is that insane, Vincent, and I love him. He's got a great voice. Like, his voice is so deep and just so, he's terrifying and stuff. He's also really badass, too, and just, I love, like, his complexities and stuff, and I love his dynamics with Spike Spiegel in the movie and stuff. I love Spike. Steve Bloom, awesome. And, yeah, just see this, the whole crew and stuff, Jet, Edward, and Faye and stuff, what they have to do in this film is so great, but Vincent makes the film also more interesting and deep and stuff. His philosophical reasoning of ending everything is also fascinating, and how he sees, like, the fireflies and stuff and everything, that, like, Spike sees them and everything. It's just so weird and deep and profound and stuff. I absolutely love it, and I love this villain. He's so complex, he's so philosophical, he's so batshit insane. Just love him. Coming number 7 is Scorpio from Dirty Harry. Scorpio, a very young villain too. Like, it's crazy. Like, when I first saw Dirty Harry years and years ago, and I'm like, I never thought a villain would be that young and stuff. Like, usually in big action films and stuff, especially like 80s and 70s action films, they're like middle-aged dudes and stuff, but this is like a young kid who's like a villain in this film, and he's like a sniper who kills all these people, and he kills people by their, like, astrological signs and everything, and, like, he's a Scorpio and everything, and I love it. I love Clint Eastwood in this movie, and I love how this movie is directed. This is definitely one of Clint Eastwood's best films. It's not the best. It's not Unforgiven, but it's still a great film, Dirty Harry. And Scorpio is such an overlooked villain. Like, a lot of people talk about, like, Clarence from RoboCop, who's also pretty underrated, but people talk about him more than they talk about Scorpio. People talk about mostly, like, Hans Gruber and stuff as, like, the great action villain and stuff, but not enough people talk about this villain, Scorpio from Dirty Harry. He is insane. Like, even when, like, Clint Eastwood, like, talks to him at the ending, like, his reasoning about why he's, like, killing all these people and all these women and stuff, it's just fucked up. Like, anytime this character talks, I'm, like, literally just disturbed by everything he says and everything. And the fact that someone this young is that twisted just makes it all the more messed up. And, like, he's also, like, a really crazily good sniper and stuff. Just everything about him is absolutely unsettling, and I think he just works perfectly for the film. Coming to number 6 is another action movie villain, and that's Mama. Yes, Mama, played beautifully by Lena Headey. Yes, Cersei Lannister herself. Frickin' Mama. I love Lena Headey. She is so great. Anything Lena Headey does is so good. Even if she's in a bad movie or even a mediocre one, she's still so good and stuff, and I love her as a villain. So I love her in Game of Thrones, and I fucking love her as Mama in the movie Dread. She is so excellent in this film, and she's so twisted. The look of her is so great. Like, she's like this girl with short hair. She got all these scars all across her face and stuff. And I love how she runs like this big, huge drug syndicate and stuff. And I love how she kills like all her victims. Like, she injects them with this drug called the slow-mo. Makes everything in slow motion. So when they die, they feel their death. Like, it's like 10 times slower and stuff. So they feel every millisecond of their death. And like, she like throws people out the window and stuff, and it takes them like, feels like it takes like an hour for them to die and stuff. Like, that is just torture. And that's just such a great villain right there. And Mama is just so awesome. It's played by a great actress, and she just portrays this really menacing villain, and just, yeah, I love Mama. Coming in number 5 is Donovan from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yes, this is a villain no one talks about. Like, anytime someone talks about Indiana Jones villain, they talk about Belloc. Which they should, because Belloc is the best villain in Indiana Jones, because Belloc is so awesome. He's such a great villain. He's the anti-Indiana Jones. That's why he's a great villain. But I love Donovan from The Last Crusade. And Donovan's not even in the movie very long, but the reason I love this villain is because it feels like a real villain. He is not a powerful villain. He is not a strong villain. He's not even really that smart of a villain, but he's a devious villain, which I love. I love a devious villain. I love a backstabbing villain, because that's what a villain is to you. A villain's not all about, wah, and evil, and take over the world, and all that shit, and, oh, I'm a badass motherfucker, and stuff. That's not all what a villain is, but a villain is very devious and stuff. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get what they need and stuff, and Donovan plays both sides. He plays the good side and the bad side, just so he can get what he wants. He sends Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones' father, to get the Holy Grail for himself. Like, he sent his dad got captured, so he sends Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones doesn't do it, so he hires the Nazis to do it. Like, he doesn't care who gets it. As long as someone gets it, he can take it from them. That's all Donovan wants. Donovan wants to live forever. He wants the Holy Grail. He doesn't care if the Nazis have it and they turn the whole world into Nazis and stuff. He does not give a shit. He just wants to live forever. Forever. Gosh, I'm trying to talk. He just wants to live forever, and that's all he wants. He wants the Grail, and he's willing to fuck over anyone he needs to get the Grail. That's why I love that villain. That's a great devious villain. He doesn't want to actually do the work and stuff. He actually just gets everyone else to get the Grail, and he'll just take it from them. Like, that's a villain for me. That is a devious and very cunning villain. And yeah, I think that's interesting. Yes, he's not brilliant and smart and stuff, but you know what? He's devious. Coming in number 4 is, yeah, speaking of another devious villain, Viggo from John Wick. Yes, Viggo. Again, a lot of people talk about Hans Gruber as like the action villain, which he is the best of, but there's a lot of great action villains out there, and Viggo is one of my favorite action movie villains. Again, just like Donovan, he's devious. Again, Viggo is not a guy who's very strong. He's not like skilled with guns and stuff like John Wick is. And I love, he's funny too, like that's what also adds to Viggo as well. He's got a personality, he's very funny. I love that he's willing to fuck over anybody, even his own son. He's willing to screw anyone over just so he can live. That, again, that's a coward and that's a villain for you. A cowardly villain, that's what I love about Viggo. He is willing to screw anyone over just so he can live. He even fucks over his own son just so he can live. Like, that's a villain. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, that's a coward. Well, yes, it's a coward, but that's a villain. That's what a villain does. They screw people over. That's what a bad person is. They are villains, and Viggo is a villain, and he's a great villain and stuff, and I even love like when you first are introduced to Viggo and stuff, and he finds out his son killed John Wick's dog, and he stole his car and stuff. Like, he's scared. He's like, oh, we can't beat John Wick. He's Baba You. He's fucking boogeyman stuff. He even calls John Wick to apologize, and he's just like, oh, we're fucked. Like, he's a very logical villain. He knows, like, I'm not gonna fucking fight him. He's gonna beat me and stuff. Very logical. And even at the ending, when John Wick has a gun to him, he gives his son up. He's like, spare my life, here you go. Here's my son, go kill him and stuff. He gives up his own son to save his own ass. And to add it all up, When John Wick kills his son, he goes to kill John Wick's best friend, played by Willem Dafoe. Like, again, that's a villain. What an asshole. That is such a villain thing to do. You kill my son, I'm gonna go kill your best friend and stuff, which leads to a great final climax battle. And yeah, I just love Viggo as a villain. Like, he was so much better than the villain in John Wick Chapter 2. That villain was very forgettable to me, but Viggo, awesome villain. Coming in number 3 is Professor Henry Jared from House of Wax 1953. Yes, of course, not the remake. The original 1953 House of Wax, amazing film. And Professor Henry Jared is such a great villain, played by Vincent Price. I love Vincent Price. Fucking love Vincent Price. Almost everything he does is so great. I was almost going to go with Ratigan because I think he's pretty underrated too, but I love this villain. House of Wax is a great film, and most of it is because of Vincent Price. The movie good, it's got good production, it's got good atmosphere, good direction, but let's face it, everyone watches House of Wax for Vincent Price, because he's so damn good in this movie. He's so villainous, he's so devious, he is so, like, crazy and shit like that. Like, in this movie, he's this guy that runs his own, like, wax museum. Everyone's like, oh, your wax sculptures, they look so realistic. The reason is because they are realistic. He kidnaps people and turns them into wax. He kills them and turns them into wax. He makes them, like, famous sculptures and stuff. And in the beginning of the movie, people caught on to him and, like, they, like, burnt his place down. And his face got all melted. And he comes back and he wants to find his other Marie Antoinette. That was, like, his favorite sculpture. He's trying to find the right woman to be his Marie Antoinette and everything. And insane. And, like, and when you find out what he looks like and stuff with this weird burnt face and the wax on it, it's so good. The practical makeup is brilliant, and Vincent Price is just so villainous and devious. Just, I love him. I love him as an actor, and I love him in this movie. Just great villain. Coming in number 2 is Yzma from Emperor's New Groove. Yes, Emperor's New Groove, I'll fully admit, I'm not even the biggest fan of. It's fine. Like, it's a great movie for kids and stuff. There was a lot of comedy in the film, mostly because of Yzma and Kronk, but, like, I'm not a big David Spade fan, and him and John Goodman's likable enough, but they're not very funny, and they're not very interesting and stuff. But the scenes with Yzma and Kronk are the reason to watch Emperor's New Groove, because they're so fucking hilarious. I didn't include Kronk, because Kronk is not really a villain to me. He's just kind of her sidekick who has no idea what the fuck he's doing. Patrick Warburton's just so great, though, but Yzma is the true villain in this film, and she's fucking amazing. Played by beautifully by Eartha Kitt. So good. She is one of the funniest Disney villains out there. She's not like the best Disney villain, but she is one of the funniest. She is laugh out loud hysterical. Like, pull the lever! Wrong lever! Why do we even have that leather and stuff? It's so good. How should I do it? I'll turn him into a flea. I'll put that flea inside another box, then I'll deliver it to myself, then I'll smash it with a hammer. It's brilliant! So good. I love Yzma. Basically, she's the Emperor's apprentice or advisor or something, and basically she wants to become the Emperor, so she tries to kill him, but she accidentally turns him into a llama, so she just sends him away, and she becomes the new Emperor, but then she goes on a mission to go and finish the job and kill Cusco for good, and love this character. She's such a great character. Eartha Kitt, such a great voice actress, and she's awesome in this movie. The movie itself is just okay. I don't hate it at all. I actually have a lot of fun with Emperor's New Groove. I just don't love it like everyone else does, but I find it perfectly fine and stuff, and I love Yzma, though. She is such a good villain. Like, she's one of the great villains, because she is just so freaking funny. She's also very villainous and stuff, but she is hilarious, and I just love her as a character. And my number 1 most underrated movie villain, in my opinion, is Walter Finch from Insomnia. Yes, this is a villain. Like, this is a scary villain, because it's so real. This is such a realistic villain. Because all these other villains, most of the villains on this list are very movie villains. They're very movie-esque. This is real. This feels real. This is a true sociopath. Like, Hannibal Lecter is also a real villain too, but again, he's one of the great villains. But Walter Finch, no one talks about Walter Finch. He is so intimidating, and he's played amazingly by Robin Williams, and definitely one of Robin Williams' best performances out there. He is so good. He is basically this guy who fell in love with a teenage girl, and because she didn't love him back, he brutally murdered her. And it's up to this police officer to go find him and stuff, but then when he accidentally kills his partner, he blackmails this cop so he won't go to jail. This guy is willing to do whatever it takes not to go to prison and stuff, and he like writes all these police novels, so he studies and knows a lot about police work and stuff, and detective work and stuff, and investigations and stuff. He knows all about that stuff, and that's why he's so smart and stuff. That's why he's always 2 steps ahead of all the cops and everything. He is a great villain. He's smart, he's cunning, he's super creepy and stuff, and like he like calls Al Pacino up and stuff. No wonder Al Pacino has insomnia. He's getting calls by this sociopath, and he is just intimidating. Especially the scene when he talks about how he killed the girl. It's just fucked right up, and Robin Williams plays him so well, and just something about it's so real, because a character like this exists in real life. Like, your neighbor could be this sociopath. Like, anyone can be this guy. That's why it's scary. That's why it's unnerving. Anyone can be a sociopath like him. He's nothing like a super villain or anything like that, or a crime boss. He's just a simple guy who is a complete sociopath, and I think he is one of the most underrated movie villains of all time. So that's my top 10 most underrated movie villains, in my opinion. So in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this top 10 list? If not, give me your guys' top 10 most underrated movie villains in your guys' opinion. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and join the dark side.